Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, recently I've been purchasing quite a lot of Olympus gear and I really enjoy the Olympus cameras. But I have also purchased a Panasonic lens for my Olympus Pen F. I've got it fitted to my Olympus Pen F and it is the Panasonic 20mm lens. Now, this is a really nice pancake lens and I purchased it purely for my Olympus Pen F because I was looking for a lens that is travel friendly and one that I can just shove in the camera bag and basically take it with me pretty much anywhere I go. And I didn't want a bulky lens for that because my Olympus 12-40 is far too bulky as a throw in a small camera bag lens, and my other Olympus lenses are. So I did buy the Olympus 17mm f1.8 lens, and that is a beautiful lens, and that's been on my Olympus Pen F pretty much since I purchased the camera, and that is the Olympus 17mm f1.8 premium lens. It's not classed as a pro lens, it's a premium lens, still weather sealed, and that's got the manual focus clutch, which I really do like, and I actually use that quite a lot. I was surprised that I do use that quite a lot. So that's a really nice lens, but I didn't think it was that compact. I was hoping the 20mm Panasonic lens would be just that little bit more compact. It turns out to be, you know, much the same size, but you know, hey ho, you know, it is what it is. But the 17mm is effectively 34-35mm terms in full frame terms, so it's a wider angle of the standard lens that you would find, you know, the nifty 50. It's a little bit too wide really. But the 40mm or 20mm Panasonic is equivalent to 40mm, which is much closer to the nifty 50. And I like the field of view that a nifty 50 gives. You don't get the distortion and all that sort of thing. It's really nice. So you can actually photograph people without, you know, distorted noses and all this sort of thing and distorted ears. So that's you know, why I'm keeping the 20mm on the Olympus body. Although it's not so wide, it's much nicer for the sort of photographs that I want to take. So it's a, you know, really nice lens, very compact, nicely made, really good construction, and being micro four thirds fits on me all me Olympus bodies without any problem at all. Focus is great, no problems with the focusing. And a very small filter thread on the front, so if you do want to put filters on it, I won't bother, but if you do want to put filters on it, you can screw filters on the front of that lens, which is really nice. Now I'm going to go through some of the images very briefly with you, but what I would strongly suggest, rather than look at them on my YouTube channel, and I will show them here, but study them on my Flickr page. There'll be a link in the description below to my Flickr page. Take a look at them on Flickr. You're going to get a much better idea of what this lens can do by looking at them on Flickr than you are by looking at them on this YouTube video. So let's have a quick look at what this lens can do. Bearing in mind all these photographs have been taken on my Olympus Pen F. It's a 20 megapixel sensor on the Pen F. Even though it's an old camera, it still takes lovely images, and the sensor's still great. So don't let that put you off. So if we have a quick look at these here now, not go through these in any particular order. So again, you can see it's very much a nifty 50 look, so you're not getting distorted images and distorted edges and whatever. It's sharp across the range, so you get sharpness in the corners as well as you know, in the center. So center sharpness is great, corner sharpness is great. It's just an all-round great general purpose lens. The contrast, the colors, everything this lens produces is just really nice. You know, it's just a great compact, you know, 20mm lens, I say equivalent to 40mm, and being that it's an f1.7 aperture, that is great if you're going into low light situations. Now I tend to, when I go out and about, I tend to go into churches, cathedrals, places like that. Having an f1.7 aperture is great because with micro four thirds you do have to be conscious of really high ISOs. But having a wide aperture, you can negate using high ISOs because you've got the wider aperture. So great in low light situations, and great for creating a bit of depth between the foreground and the background. Now that can be quite awkward to do with a Micro Four Thirds body, but it is achievable, and I've achieved it many times. As an example, I'm doing some test filming with the Olympus 45mm f1.8. Now that's fitted to my OMD EM1 Mark III, which is way in the background there, because 45mm is equivalent to 90. So that will give you an indication. I wonder if it's all going out of focus while I'm putting my hand in front of my face. It probably is. I'll try and not do that. So that is, you know, a lovely lens on the OMD EM1 Mark III. It's a really cost-effective lens, and it's a really compact lens. So I'm doing some experimenting with that lens, and you should be able to see the background is nice and blurry, but it's not completely blown out. See, I'm not a big fan of real deep bokeh. I like to be able to see what the background is, but I like it to be able to focus. So there is that separation, there's that depth between the person or the subject you're photographing to the background, so you can clearly see what the background is. Otherwise you might as well just have a black or a white background, mightn't you, if you're going to throw it completely out of focus. What's the point of it? So Micro Four Thirds is perfectly capable of doing that, both in photographs and in videos, and I'm experimenting with that with my OMD EM1 Mark III. There will be a review of that lens coming later, but as I'm using it for filming this video, well, then obviously I can't show you the lens. But today we're talking about the Panasonic 20mm lens with the Micro Four Thirds Olympus bodies. Now there is no image stabilization in the lens. You wouldn't expect that, but that doesn't matter because the Olympus bodies have got fantastic image stabilization anyway, so you don't need it in the lens. Yeah, getting back to these images, you can see how sharp these images are. The clarity, the details, it just picks up the detail, you know. Picks up the detail beautifully. Absolutely gorgeous. You know, I'm loving it as a, you know, as I say, as a travel lens. It's a fantastic travel lens on any of the Micro Four Thirds bodies. But if you've got a compact Micro Four Thirds body, it could be a GX8, Panasonic GX8, GX9, and even the smaller ones. And the Olympus bodies, you look at all the Pen bodies. As I say, I've just happened to have it on the Pen F. I think that's sexy, it looks smart, it's a beautiful looking lens, but as I say, it takes great images, but you'd be very proud of if you, you know, use that lens. So yeah, that's going to be permanently attached to my Olympus Pen F. I may, you know, take it off and use the wider f1.8 Olympus lens from time to time, because it is such a nice lens, you know. But yeah, so but you know, I can highly recommend. You can see here, you know, if you're shooting up close, you can get the foreground and the background out of focus while what you're focusing on is in focus, which is basically the cup of coffee or tea, I think that is. But yeah, it's not blowing out the highlights, it's just doing a lovely job. Handles chromatic aberration fine, there's no red fringing around the lens, you know, around, you know, high contrast areas. Just works out great. Yeah, now I am going to actually and the close focusing distance is pretty decent as well, so you can get nice close-up pictures and you get in really close. I'm not sure what the close-up distance is with this particular lens. I'll put that in the description, but you can get really close to flowers, and not quite macro, but close enough to be, you know, not far off macro. What I want to do now is actually show you a piece of software I use for a lot of my editing, for removing objects in the images. I think it's much better than what you can do in Lightroom. It's a lot quicker and easier, and for replacing skies. Now I use this software, I'm promoting it because I use it and I purchased it, and it's a great bit of software. And the bit of software we're talking about is Luminar Neo. Now I'm going to edit this in Luminar Neo and it won't take 5 minutes. So if we go into, well, it'll take far less than 5 minutes. If we go into Luminar Neo, it'll create a copy. so you're not actually destroying the original version. And it's a beautiful piece of software. I really enjoy this software. Now, on my Flickr page, on my website, you'll find a link to this particular software. The link actually it says on it Luminar 4. Ignore that, it's actually Luminar Neo. So download the trial version of Luminar Neo, and if you do decide you want to purchase it after playing with it, use the code AVP to get $10 off, and you'll find that's a great bit of software. Now, once you've purchased it, you own it. So there's no subscription model, unlike Lightroom. So it's great from that point of view, and it's also a great bit of software. I use it in conjunction with Lightroom. So for me, I'm still subscribing to Lightroom because Lightroom has features that Luminar Neo doesn't have, particularly with cataloguing and filing images. That seems to be better than what Luminar Neo is. But Luminar Neo has got some fantastic editing editing functions that Lightroom is a bit more finicky with. So we've now got it in Luminar Neo. What we do is go into the edit module. So we click on edit, and on the right hand side up here it brings up all your different editing things that you can do. We'll just quickly go into sky, and then you can select what sky you might want. So let's go for something dramatic. Let's go with that one. I mean, obviously you can choose any one, but we'll go with that one. And that's created a really, you know, a much more interesting sky than the one that was already there. So we can now go into enhance, and I use the artificial intelligence enhance modes. It's just quick and easy. So bring up accent, and it gives it a lot more punch. Increases the shadows, the brightness. It just gives it a lot more punch, and we can adjust that. Click on apply, and then once I click on apply, that'll save that and take that straight back to Lightroom. So fantastic bit of software, and if you use it in conjunction with Lightroom, well then you've got the best of both worlds. So take a look at that bit of software. As I say, there'll be a link in the description to the trial version. Download the trial version, have a play with it. If you do decide you want to buy it, use the code AVP to get $10 off. Great bit of software. So there we go. Now we're back in Lightroom, and it's saying it saved it as a copy. So you've got the original, which is there, a plain blue sky, nothing exciting about that at all. And then you've got a really nice enhanced sky. So yeah, there we go, and it's enhanced the whole building. It's just given it a lot more punch. So yeah, highly recommend that. But as I say, the lens itself is a great lens. All these images will be on my Flickr page. I say there'll be a link to my Flickr page. And as I say, the sharpness is just so nice. It's so nice, you know, across the whole range. You know, whether you're doing close-ups, whether you're doing wide shots, and as I say, you can do portraits. And I've taken a few pictures of one of my cats, you know. Now, again, look at that. Because it's equivalent to 40mm, that has thrown the background nicely out of focus, but it's not so blurred that you can't see what the background is. But little Molly does stand out from the background, and she's nice and sharp, you know. And so all these images will be on my Flickr page. But I mean, that's just lovely, and I'm going to leave it on that image because I like little Molly. So there we go. You know, great little lens to, you know, fit in with your Micro Four Thirds system. And even if you haven't got a compact Micro Four Thirds body, but you think you're going out and you think you might need an F1.7 sort of semi-portrait lens, then just shove it in your pocket or shove it in your bag, you know, and it's there if you need it. So it's the same with this 45mm f1.8 lens. That is so cheap to buy, and it's so compact and so light. You can shove that in your camera bag. So, you know, Micro Four Thirds, I mean, is great. It's really a nice format, because for me, as I'm getting older, I'm not the fittest of persons. If I had to carry around a 90mm lens for full frame and a nifty 50 for me full frame, I can assure you that's going to be a lot bulkier and a lot heavier than what these two lenses are for Micro Four Thirds, and a lot more expensive, So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this review of use. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button if you like the contents of my videos. I really appreciate that, and it helps me grow the channel. So thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. Cheers. Bye.